You can train a specific skill for hundreds, if not thousands of hours in various game modes or unranked matches, but then completely fail to execute those same skills in an actual ranked game. And failing to execute skills that you spent time developing is a problem that I imagine all of you have experienced. And there's nothing more frustrating than knowing what your skill level is, but failing to live up to it, especially when it matters the most. Fortunately, research might give us insight as to why this happens and how we can fix it. To begin, we first need to understand a little bit about the brain and what's happening in our mind during an intense game. Now let's say you're midway through a ranked game. A lot has happened, forcing you to keep all of that information in your mind. You've noticed certain patterns in the enemies, you're paying attention to their playstyle, their level of aggression, and you're trying to predict what they're doing next. Now, you might also need to pay close attention to what's happening in the moment, focusing on your skill execution and making quick decisions what to do next. Now, at this time, your mind is processing a lot of information. And one way to think of this is like a ball pit filled with a lot of balls. The more you're thinking about, the more that ball pit gets filled up. And eventually, that ball pit might begin to overflow, causing you to miss information, make mistakes, and even mess up basic mechanical skills. Now, what's really happening here is that your limited working memory becomes filled with information and tries to make room by giving less energy to various tasks like watching minimaps or predicting where the enemy is or even timing your own skills. Now, let's say that you're training a specific skill like your aim or last hitting. In a drill environment, you have far fewer variables to keep track of, meaning that the mental ball pit is nearly empty. And this gives you the ability to successfully focus on your skill execution and perform it to the best of your ability. But then, as you enter a regular match, this completely changes. You're suddenly flooded with tons of information, causing a hit to your basic skills. And this is even worse when you're under pressure. The extra stress of a ranked game or a pinnacle round can add even heavier burdens to your working memory. So, what can we do to avoid this issue? Well, there are two key methods that we can use to overcome this and to maintain our skills, even while under pressure. Going back to the ball pit analogy, we can essentially condense each of the ball's size, allowing us to hold more information at a time without getting overwhelmed. But how can we do this? Well, as you improve at a game, you quickly rack up more and more experience and familiarity in different situations, whether that's trying to clutch the rounds or predict when to use your resources. The more you experience particular moments of the game, the more those specifics get stored in your long-term memory, and the more information you have stored in your long-term memory, the less you have to process in your working memory during the game. So, out of pure experience and learning, you will slowly create more room in your working memory, allowing you to play more consistently even under high amounts of pressure and complexity. Now, a quick tip for developing this a lot faster is to review your matches, and while doing so, proactively make decisions. Actively notice the specific details of the situation, what happened, and what you would do differently in the future. That way, when you come across a similar scenario again, you'll have already outsourced much of your thinking, meaning that you can pull the plan from your long-term memory and waste less processing power in the moment. But when it comes to your mechanical skills, there is a bit of an issue. Of course, the more you practice an individual skill, the more automatic it becomes, even in real games. But this is still limited by the way that you practice. When learning a motor skill, the brain often uses a specific system called the working memory motor learning circuit. This three-step process starts by using your working memory to process instructions of what to do and how to do it. It then sends the instructions to your brain's coordination center called your cerebellum, which then sends a signal to your motor cortex where it commands your muscles to move in coordination with the instructions. The problem with this circuit is that it becomes faulty when the working memory is under high amounts of strain. This is why you might completely dominate with a specific skill in low intensity games or while doing a drill, but then fail when it's game time. So what is the solution here? Well, one study on golf might give us a clue. In the study, participants were split into two groups to learn how to putt. One group received very detailed instructions on how to putt based on leading coaching techniques. This group had to use their working memory motor learning circuits to remember the instructions and apply them in practice. The second group received no instruction. Instead, this group had to randomly generate letters every time they heard a tone from a metronome. Now, doing this actively distracted their working memory so it wouldn't be involved in the learning process. And after 5 days of training, the participants were all tested with some added pressure. Participants were told that a professional golfer would judge their performance, and if they performed well, they would even earn money. Now, although both groups experienced performance anxiety, only the group that had learned the set of instructions using the working memory motor learning circuits showed a decline in performance. In contrast, the group that didn't use their working memory to learn the putts didn't do any worse when under pressure because their working memory was free to manage their stress. Now, this study suggests that working memory is only necessary for motor performance when we have become reliant on it for use. So, while most of us struggle with basic skills under the strains of an intense game, this doesn't need to happen. But to avoid it, we need to bypass the working memory during practice. And a similar study on basketball players might teach us exactly how. This study compared a low-pressure approach to practicing free throws with a high-pressure approach to see if the latter would help athletes improve their ability to shoot accurately under pressure. Now, one group of athletes practiced their free throw with no pressure, but the other group practiced while competing against each other for prize money, being videotaped for analysis by an expert coach, and being observed by their coach and teammates. Now, before going through this training, both teams were worse under pressure. And after 5 weeks of the study, the group that practiced in the low pressure conditions continued to perform worse. But the team that practiced their free throw in an anxiety-provoking state not only avoided choking under pressure, but actually shot better when they're anxious. So when it comes to practicing our mechanics, we need to distract our working memories, and the only way to do this is to practice under pressure. For you, this kind of pressure might come from drilling your skills in a 1v1 environment, or perhaps with the added stress of streaming to your friends, or maybe putting money on the line if you don't hit a specific score. But if these aren't enough, other research suggests that training while fatigued can have similar benefits. Physical fatigue from working out mixed with mental fatigue from a long day of ranked games or work can help knock out your working memory for more efficient practice. So whether you decide to train under more stressful conditions or when you are feeling brain fried after a long day, your mechanical skills will likely transfer much better into real games. And when you combine this with analyzing your games with a decision-making focus, you will quickly be able to overcome the frustrating experience of not living up to your skills. You'll finally be able to perform at your best when it matters most and reap the benefits that come with peak performance.
If you have the desire to become a pro esports player, but you feel like you're just not improving fast enough, then I highly recommend our Esports Elite course. It's designed to teach you how to train like a pro so that you can make massive improvements in just a few months. It includes over 50 short videos that go far beyond the tips mentioned in any of our YouTube videos and combines scientific research on how to enhance your motor skills and game sense, as well as how to develop a pro-level mindset. It then combines all the lessons into a 66-day challenge that you can use to rank up much faster. So if you want to start training like a pro and rank up quickly over the next 66 days, then join now using the link in the description. And of course, this video is also brought to you by our very own esports supplement called eAdvantage. In short, eAdvantage is a cheaper, healthier, and more effective alternative to energy drinks. If you want to get insane focus without the jitters and sugar crash, and you want to play at the peak of your ability during important games, then I highly recommend it. If you want to try it out for yourself, you can find a link as well as a discount code in the description below. And of course, I hope you guys loved this video. If you did, then leave a comment down below and let me know what your biggest takeaway is. As I usually do, I will be responding to every single comment posted within the first few days, so let me know what you think. And of course, if you haven't already, definitely hit that notification bell so that you know when our next video is going to be posted. Now, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.